How's it going, boys? It's me, your favorite Snake Souls merchant, and today let's talk about Smurfs. Smurfs are a very interesting subject. Some people claim that they destroy games, other people don't even know what a Smurf is and say that they don't impact their game at all. How is that possible, you may ask? Smurfing is a very interesting subject. You see, for Smurfing to impact the game needs to be old, first of all. And I know that's a strange thing to say, but bear with me. When I say old, I don't mean that it has been out for 20 or 10 years. I mean that it has a pretty decent sized player base, active player base, and it does not have a huge influx of new players. At this moment in time, think about League of Legends, DotA2, Counter-Strike Global Offense, and games like that. The player base that plays that game are not new blood. They are people who have played the games for years upon years upon years now, and new people rarely enter the game. And this is where the fun starts. You see, every competitive game, every game that wants to have success will have a ranking distribution. It may be MMR, it may be whatever, and usually it will be distributed like, for example, League of Legends has silver, then it has bronze, or the other way around, but that does not matter. Then it has gold, then it has diamond, then it has plat, and then it has grandmasters or something. Every almost game has this sort of thing. Dota has it also, CSGO has it also, and the player distribution will always 100% look like this. Because that's how it should look. You see, players are not distributed here at random. They are not distributed here at random. You have something that's called calibration games. Calibration games are designed to assign you where are you going to be. Are you going to be in silver? Are you going to be bronze? Are you going to be wherever? And there is also a cap that you can reach. For example, if you play 10 calibration games, you can't get instantaneously in Grandmasters. That's just not a possibility. That would absolutely ruin the game. And most games have a protection against that. That is a protection against boosted accounts. But that's not the point here. The point is that people are going to be distributed based on statistics. Take it from me. It doesn't matter if you lose 10 games of your calibration match. If you're good enough, you're still going to be placed in that gold or whatever tier that you should be in. That happens almost always. The calibration system is extremely acute and on point. Point of personal experience, for example, when I used to play Dota 2 and MMR was still a thing, I could never calibrate under 4K MMR. And I mean literally never. I once had a 10 calibration matches where I lost 8 out of 10 games. And I still got 4K MMR plus. And I always got 4K MMR plus. Doesn't matter if it was mostly wins or mostly losses. Calibration is done by statistics. How many creeps you kill, plus what is your KDA and stuff like that. Honestly, at this point, I would not be even surprised if your calibration at this point took account of things like APM, for example, average actions per minute or something like that, was it? Which may seem strange for some people, but if it seems strange, you're probably in bronze or silver. APM will be always higher for better players. In League of Legends, maybe that is not necessarily 100% the case if you're just, trying to CS. But for example, in games like Dota, it is going to be extremely prevalent. You can tell a good player from a bad player just from the way they are moving around in the lane. It is super simple. So I would not be surprised if these games even took in abstract things like APM, which is not always necessarily a thing. And then people get distributed like this. But how does this equate to Smurfs? If you want to Smurf and stomp bad players, all you need to do is throw the calibration matches and get into the lowest, shittiest division around somewhere here. The lowest that's possible. And then you can pound your way out of it. You see, that's a very good thing to do. And it's easy to do. And there is this thing called a Smurf queue. In pretty much every game, there is something called a Smurf queue. If you calibrate to the lowest possible level and then you go something like, for example, 30 and 0 and absolutely stomp everyone, that means you're a Smurf, and you're gonna get into a Smurf queue, where you're gonna play with other Smurfs. This does not impact the game in... well, it does impact the game a little bit in a negative sense, but, you know, usually it just takes 1 or at maximum 2 games to figure this out for the system and place you into the Smurf queue. So you are absolutely out of it and you get placed in your own type of bracket. Unless you lose a lot and then the system thinks that you are absolutely not worth it, which is kind of hilarious. So, how does smurfing then impact games in a negative way? You see, let's go back about how you are placed in these games. You are placed by average statistics. There is a little bit of a false concept when it comes to understanding who smurfers are. You see, you think that smurfers are the people at the top, like the people at the Grandmasters, the Platinum ranks, the Maximum Desert Eagle Lords, the Divines, and so on and so on. No, absolutely not. A lot of Smurfs are the people who are uncontent because they think that they are better than they actually are. It's gonna be people who are like in gold or diamond. Essentially, those are people who are close to the middle of the pack. And what happens when a person that's in the middle of the pack plays against these bad players? Well, a miracle happens. They don't exactly pound these games. If they get unlucky, they will not be 30 and 0. No. They will be like 5 and 2. And win the game or lose the game or something like that. And you see, when they are 5 and 2, the game doesn't think that you're a Smurf. But the thing is, get enough of these people and you will boost the average intended statistics of, for example, what silver or bronze should look like. And that is the key thing that Smurfs are doing. They are impacting the key statistics of silver and bronze players and the lowest rankings of players. For example, let's take someone who's in silver. The average statistics for a silver player should be like, I don't know, like 3 kills, 3 deaths, and 5 assists or something, with, let's say, 4 CS per minute or something like that. You know, and it's normal. That's the normal average. If you have a higher average than this, logic dictates that you will become from silver to bronze. Well, should probably say it the way around, but essentially you will climb. If your average statistics are better than this, on average you will always climb, and you will stop at the point where, let's for example say the diamond's average statistics are like 5 kills, 2 deaths, and like 10 assists or something. This is, by the way, completely false, but I do feel that this is an extremely good example of it. When your statistics are close to this, you are probably in diamond or whatever. You know, let's say like 6 CS per minute or something like that, right? Everything is easy to understand. But the thing is, when these people from the diamonds, the golds come into this place, they are maybe not good enough to carry all of those games to be put in the Smurf queue. When they're not in the Smurf queue, they are diluting these average statistics of what a bronze player and silver player should be. They are not impactful enough to be clearly set out as Smurfs. And by the way, if you think you have not played with Smurfs, if you are one of these lowest tiers, for example, like silver or bronze or what's the Dota one called? Herald or something like that. If you are in those divisions, chances are 2 out of 10 games you are playing with someone who's a Smurf. But you're not playing with someone who's a Smurf from the top. You're playing against someone who's a Smurf from barely above you or maybe like 1 or 2 divisions above you. And if they have a bad game, you are not going to be able to tell if they're a Smurf. Sometimes you're just going to think, oh wow, that guy was pretty good. And that's the thing. Slowly, these Smurfs are changing the distribution so that 3 kills, 3 deaths, 5 assists are 4 kills, 3 deaths, 6 assists. And they slowly impact the average number that a player should have when he's in a certain division. And this is how Smurfs completely ruined the game. Because now, if someone who is, not smurfing but is pretty good at MOBAs joins, for example, League of Legends, he would, previously, like 10 years ago, he would be instantaneously placed close to gold. Or, top silver or something like that. But now, since the stat line is diluted, he is placed in the lowest possible category. And what happens when he's placed in the lowest possible category? Well, people who are legitimately bad at the game don't have a different place to go. So they are placed also in the lowest category. And this is how the matchmaking pool gets diluted. Because you see, someone who's bronze and plays against silvers is not necessarily better than them. Hell, they could have lucked out and won 3 matches in a row, and that's the only reason why they are in bronze instead of silver. That's a completely legit possibility to happen. So, if they get put with silvers, they're not gonna carry games. They will only carry games if their team is good enough, doesn't feed, and blah blah blah. And this is how the player pool gets absolutely diluted on a step. And you can pretty much easily see this. For example, here we have the DotA player pool and the LoL player pool. August distribution of average MMR, average distribution of divisions. Well, it's both divisions, honestly. As you can see, well, you probably think it looks a little bit fucked, but you probably think it's not exactly that bad, right? Well, that's wrong. If you think this, you are not really a statistical analyst. Let me tell you that right now. So first of all, in the League of Legends, this part can absolutely be ignored. So, what do we see now here? We see that the middle is like the middle, like it should be. This almost looks legit, right? But not really. Why? Because while this part is more or less legit, this part is very strange. Again, we can completely ignore this part, but diamond has always been diamond. Platinum has always been platinum. People make Smurf accounts, and it's really hard to get out. And League of Legends has this thing that the game knows that people who, for example, were stuck in bronze forever, if they reach silver or whatever, that's it. Their goal is achieved. They're gonna stop playing games. So so this is the reason why it's sometimes extremely hard to win promotion matches to different divisions, because the game understands if you get promoted too easily without a fight, there's a good chance that you're gonna stop playing the game. On average, that's the most common occurrence. Maybe it's not true for you, but on average, it is the most common occurrence to happen in a game. So we can see that there's a huge conjunction here. There is an absolutely huge conjunction here. And that, it's really odd because these groups are completely empty. This does not mirror this at all, as you can see. Which easily can tell you that League of Legends has a Smurf problem. And hell, if you play League of Legends, you probably understand that it has a Smurf problem. Then we have the DotA graph, which kind of seems honestly exactly the same thing, right? No, not exactly the same thing. It's honestly different because here you have a good balance here. Like, this is completely legit, by the way. Everything is in the middle like it should be, but the problem is, this line looks like this. Honestly, when it looks like this, it may as well look like this. So, starting from Guardian and Crusader to Archon, I should say, it's almost the exact same MMR. Because of this distribution. The average skill base will always be in the middle. So as you can see, the smurfing in Dota, just by this graph, is an abundantly huge problem. as by the way literally every Dota 2 player will probably tell you. But then smurfing stops becoming such a huge player in past Archon at Legends and whatever. So yeah, both games have a little different of a problem with the distribution, but you know, both games suffer tremendously from smurfing, and honestly, it is clearly visible. And while you can see similar-ish things in new games it's going to be less of a problem because of the influx of new players. Because of the influx of new players again, it's going to be a situation where this spot is overwhelmed by new players, and then the Smurfs will actually move to like the silvers and the golds, which will be a little bit bad for the game, but the distribution will not be that bad. While in older games where new people don't come in, shit like this happens. Yeah. Everyone who is pretty much Guardian to Crusader in Dota probably is facing a Smurf every single game. And by the way, a distinguishable Smurf. Not that one that you can't even tell because he fits right at home because he's feeding or being average. One that is actually carrying the games. And in League of Legends, well honestly I would probably say the League of Legends graph is a little bit harder to explain than this one. Like the Dota one is clearly fucked. Honestly, I wonder what's your opinion on this, boys, because I see things way differently. Because I know what's strange and what is not strange. How it's supposed to look and why it's supposed to look like that. When you look at these graphs, do you see something odd? Except that it's not like a complete pyramid like this? That's pretty interesting to me, honestly, for different reasons. But yeah, you can kind of clearly see it. Well, that's honestly also pretty much it about Smurfs. This is how they impact the game. They just dilute the statistics. And when the statistics are diluted, the worst players can be placed in, you know... Well, essentially, I said everything. Anyway, that's pretty much the video. What did you like? Required a lot of paint. Kind of interesting. So this was Wizards. Thanks for watching. Subscribe if you haven't already. Leave comments down below if you have more questions on this. Because, you know, on a big scale, what I said is right. But, you know, if you want to be extremely nitpicky about things I said, I know that I said some things that are, you know, a little bit questionable. But in the grand scheme of things, they do fit with one another. So, this was Wizards. Thanks for watching. Subscribe if you haven't already. And have a nice day. Bye-bye.